After 7 long years, Gumball's 7th season has finally been released. But what almost nobody who watched the new episodes noticed is that the show is watching you the whole time. Believe it or not, in several episodes of the new season, Daisy, that evil little donkey plushie owned by Anais that has a life of her own, is watching us. But not in the way you might be thinking. For example, in episode 1, The Burger. Right when the boys walk into the grocery store, we can immediately see boxes of Daisy cereal on the very first shelf. And that's not all. As soon as we see them putting a few things into their cart, Daisy's cereal boxes appear again, front and center, almost as if they're saying, "Buy me." The same thing happens in episode 2, when Ori, the virtual assistant, helps Nicole with her grocery shopping. When she's zooming down the aisle at high speed, if you pause at the right moment, you'll notice Gumball's mom passing through the cereal aisle, and it's crazy how many boxes have Daisy's little face on them again. And when she's heading toward the checkout, we can once again spot Daisy's cereal boxes, not just on one side of the lanes, but on both sides. Okay, you might say they probably have only a few product designs to fill the store shelves. We get that. But still, for anyone who knows Daisy's evil nature, this is definitely a reason to feel at least a little creeped out, right? Another really interesting detail is that, for the first time, we see someone other than Larry working at the grocery store. Honestly, I can't remember who this character is. If you know who he is, drop it in the comments so we can find out too. So far, we've only gotten 20 out of the 40 episodes in the new season. But that's already been enough for us to catch a bunch of amazing hidden details throughout the episodes that you probably didn't notice. Get ready, because now we're about to blow your mind. Back in episode 1, right after Gumball and Darwin leave the grocery store, we can spot a poster for a band called Magic Lizards. Keeping up the tradition of rock band references from the earlier seasons, we can say this is most likely a nod to an Australian band formed in 2010 that's a bit less mainstream, called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. The creators of Gumball really love rock music. Now jumping to episode 3, The Distance, where Gumball and Darwin are put in separate rooms. When Nicole is showing the new place to the brothers, we notice some pretty interesting details. One of them is a drawing taped to the wall in the background, which is probably Darwin's version of Mr. Dad and Mrs. Mom, since that's how he refers to his parents. There's also a Captain Elmore poster, which I honestly don't remember seeing before. Plus, there's another poster that seems to be an alternate Star Wars-style universe in Gumball's world, called Stellar Odyssey, which we later see in the little corner Darwin set up for his brother to sleep in the same room with him. We also spot 2 extra pairs of sneakers that Darwin probably keeps to change into when he gets out of the fish tank, because they must get wet, and walking around the house with wet feet would definitely annoy Nicole. And when Nicole kicks Gumball out of the room, we can see another drawing, also likely made by Darwin, of the 2 brothers. Another interesting detail is definitely the blanket Darwin uses to keep himself warm underwater. Did you notice that it has little balls on the ends? Well, those are actually part of a specific kind of fishing net, which is a pretty cool detail if you ask me. In that same episode, we see Tobias and Banana Joe helping Darwin set up a spot in his room for Gumball to sleep. But after Gumball accidentally blows up the house out of jealousy because his 2 friends were hanging out with his brother, many people didn't notice that Bobbert shows up and is comforting Tobias, who looks like he's in complete shock. Oh my god! Now moving on to episode 7, The Astrological. We see Mr. Small and his mystical rock pairing up several new couples in Gumball's class. One of those new couples is Carmen and Anton, and things get so serious between them that when Gumball is walking down the hallway, you can see that Carmen actually tattooed the initials C+A for Carmen and Anton right on her forehead. I really hope it comes off, because in the end, all the couples broke up after realizing everything was just a hallucination caused by Mr. Small's rock. In that same episode, when Gumball is taken out of the room after confronting Mr. Small inside some sort of incubator, there's another cool little detail. While he's talking to Penny, look behind him on the wall. There's an orange list with a bunch of student signatures, and you can clearly see the very last signature belongs to Darwin. Before we continue, just a quick heads up. If you also love movies, shows, and cartoons, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Back to episode The Traffic, the 6th of season 7, where the family needs to get to Daisyland before the park shuts down for good. When Nicole has some flashbacks and is talking to Anais in the past, you can see a picture of Darwin hanging on the wall right behind them. Then we see Richard completely stuck in jars of honey. And right on top of the fridge, there it is again, Daisy's cereal box, practically screaming, "Put me in a bowl." And in the middle of those flashbacks, we get one where Gumball literally has his head frozen solid. But that's not even the creepiest part of the scene. Look behind him. Inside the fridge, there's a red bottle with the universal poison symbol on it. Seriously, why would the Wattersons keep a bottle of poison in their fridge? Knowing Richard, it's only a matter of time before he mistakes it for ketchup. Still in those ridiculously hilarious flashbacks, we see Richard stuck inside a rocket that looks like it's leaving Earth's orbit. It happens so quickly that many probably missed it, but he had written help with his finger on the rocket's glass. The only problem, spelling is clearly not Gumball's dad's strong suit. He actually wrote the L backwards. Be honest, did you catch that when you first saw the scene? Still in the episode where the Wattersons are trying to make it to Daisyland. When they fall into the sewer, you can see the word monster spray painted on the wall. Who do you think did that? The monster itself? Whoever it was, it's probably the same person who also spray painted the word dark right above it. Speaking of episode 04, The Matter, when we see Nicole in the kitchen with the cabinet doors open, guess who shows up again? That's right, another box of Daisy cereal. Another really cool detail in this episode happens when Richard is in one of his trances, while eating something he's eaten before, trying to remember what Nicole wants him to recall. In one of those trances, Richard is on the beach, eating a fish, which is totally wrong because technically Darwin was right next to him at that moment, and even with legs, Darwin is still a fish. Right after that, we see Richard eating a corn cob and then handing Nicole a straw hat with a red detail on the top. At that moment, we can say this is a very subtle but also striking reference for fans of Japanese animation, since that straw hat is identical to the one worn by Luffy, the main character from One Piece. In the 5th episode, The Butt, there's a scene where Gumball and Principal Brown go to a barbershop to get the Elmore School principal's haircut. If you look closely around the place run by Larry, always him, you'll notice several framed pictures on the wall showing different versions of the character with various hairstyles and beards, with blonde hair, a white mustache, and even dark brown hair. In the episode Cheerleader, the 8th of season 7, we see Richard having another flashback, only this time he's trying out for the school's cheerleading team. Notice that in the gym, there's a sign that should display the year the story takes place. But it seems the animators didn't want to risk any date or timeline errors, so they wrote the numbers 199X on it, indicating the story is set sometime in the 1990s, but we don't know exactly when. Still in the same episode, on the day Richard is going to try out again for the cheerleading squad, after the first team's performance, Principal Brown and Mr. Small are acting as the judges. Almost no one noticed this the first time, but if you look at the bleachers in the background, you can spot the lower half of Granny JoJo's body. She's the one responsible for Richard's total lack of self-confidence. Later, the show reveals that she was there the whole time, but we already knew that. And now, so do you. In The Boring One, episode 9 of the new season, we see that the boys discover Molly has the power to literally freeze time while she's talking, which makes being with her especially boring. However, since Darwin and Gumball need this ability to defend themselves from Tina, they use it to train. We then see them watching karate lessons on TV, and you probably didn't notice, but the headbands they're wearing actually have the symbol of Daniel LaRusso's Miyagi-Do from Cobra Kai. Then, in episode 10, The Teacher, when Gumball is in Miss Simeon's car, we see her spot a punk running down the street and start chasing him in her vehicle. At that moment, if you play the scene in slow motion, when she grabs the steering wheel, you can see the car's logo is a unicorn. This could be a nod to the luxury car brand Ferrari, which uses a horse as its emblem. Pretty subtle, but we caught it. When Miss Simeon causes another teacher's van to flip off the overpass, we see none other than Gumball's grandpa, Richard's father, down below warming his hands over a fire. When they arrive at the cave, which is actually Miss Simeon's home, we can notice that the hangers she uses for her dresses are actually bones. And finally, when we see Salvatore in his apartment using the phone he stole from Gumball, take note that behind him there's a painting of a red gorilla. This is probably a tribute to Miss Simeon, who was his teacher. Or maybe he just stole it from her. Who knows? That's it for now. Soon we'll release more videos with hidden details and Easter eggs from other episodes of Gumball. Part 2 is probably on your screen right now. Click it and have fun. Thanks.